Number 2, reading aloud your daily text.
泰瑞·福克斯，一位加拿大英雄。一个名叫泰瑞·福克斯的加拿大人，在年轻时因得了癌症，膝盖以下必须截肢。他为了帮癌症研究组织募得更多款项，他以横越加拿大为目标，希望能从全国2600万人募集到1人1元。因为癌症复发，他不得不放弃跑步，在不到1年时间内就辞世了。
Hi everybody and welcome back to the second part of our class. We're going to be doing some reading now. Not just silent reading, but reading aloud. Don't forget when you read the article in English to read it aloud so you practice your reading and your speaking and pronunciation skills as well. I will read the article aloud first so you can listen to the proper pronunciation. Then it'll be your turn to read this article aloud. Now here we go. Terry Fox, Canada's hero. Most of us have a pretty good idea what the limits of abilities are. Therefore, we are astonished and impressed by those individuals who go far beyond the limits of what we think human beings are capable of, physically, mentally, spiritually. We look up to those people who make the seemingly impossible possible. And what is fascinating about these people is that they are not mythic figures, legends, or gods. They are human beings just like the rest of us. Terry Fox was an ordinary suburban teenager from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, who rose to greatness when personal disaster struck. It was his tragedy that led to his selfless mission to help others. Terry was an athletic teenager when they discovered cancer in his right knee. Just 3 days later, doctors cut most of his leg off to prevent the disease from spreading. Since he was not yet 19 years old and therefore not legally an adult, he underwent his chemotherapy in the children's cancer ward. He could manage his own suffering, but the suffering of little children, some of whom he saw die in hospital, touched him deeply. Terry knew that the only way to cure cancer was through scientific and medical research, which required money. At a time when he didn't even know if he would be able to walk again, Terry began dreaming about running across Canada, not only to raise money for cancer research, but also to raise awareness of the disease in general. His goal was to raise $1 for each of the 26 million people who lived in Canada 30 years ago. With a prosthetic leg, a small support team of 2, his brother and a friend, and an iron will and loads of courage, Terry set about making his dream a reality. 3 years after his amputation, he set off from Canada's most easterly city, St. John's, Newfoundland, in April of 1980. He ran westward, gathering both momentum and gaining attention. By the time he jogged into Toronto, he was already a national hero. He had run over 3,000 miles when he started to feel unwell. He was examined and it was discovered that the amputation had, in effect, not worked. The cancer had spread to his lungs. He was rushed back to Vancouver for treatment. but he died less than a year later at the age of just 22. Canadians were sad at the loss and therefore were moved to exceed Terry's rather modest goal of raising $26 million for research. The fundraising in his name continues to this day. The legacy of someone like Terry Fox goes beyond the money he raised. His life proved that every single one of us has the ability to push ourselves beyond our limits. Terry's story shows us that these limits are illusions. Now that's it for our article. My goodness, that was a long story, but very interesting. It's about a young boy from Canada who got cancer in his leg, and he had to have his leg, most of his leg, amputated or cut off. Now, he saw the suffering of children in the cancer hospitals, and he was very moved by that. And he decided to raise money for cancer research, medical research. And he decided to run across Canada with only 2 other people helping him. Along his way, when he he ran over 3,000 miles, he got sick again. And the cancer went to his lungs. And within 1 year, he had died. And because of his courage and his hard work, the Canadians were moved by his courage. So they donated a lot of money in his name to cancer research, and they still do to this very day. And so this just tells you about ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Just like you can do that as well. And sometimes when you're put into a situation, you might just turn into a hero just like Terry Fox as well. Now that's it for our article. It's a little bit of a long article. If 如果你的英文程度还没有到那个高级的一个程度啊，不要害怕，不要害羞，你可以试试看，不一定要念全部啊，你可以念第1段或者第2段也可以啊，甚至如果你就是有点困难，就是念出来几句话，就是要试试看，因为不是不止啊。and 说不定如果你只有初级程度或者中级程度的英文啊，说不定你也可以开始念出来一些那个高级程度的英文。Don't be afraid. Now that's it for our reading. Let's go on to the next part of our class.